Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about Season 3 of The Gilded Age. So, before I head into my thoughts and feelings on Season 3 of The Gilded Age, since this is the third season of this show, I'm definitely just going to sit and talk about spoilers in this video. Yeah, if you have not seen this particular season, or if you've just not seen the show at all, period, you might just want to come back at a later point to watch this video. But yeah, you have been warned. I am definitely going to be talking about spoilers in this video. So yeah, let's get going. Yeah, guys, Season 3 of The Gilded Age was so good, you guys. I say this every time I talk about this show. I love the rich people drama. The rich people drama is everything. Yeah, their drama, you know, here in the 1800s, in the Gilded Age, yes, it is just so petty and ridiculous. Yeah, all these people have all this wealth and money, and they go on about the silliest and most mundane of things, but I love the drama. I love the angst. And there was so much going on this season, you guys. I did really enjoy Season 2, but yeah, after watching this season in particular, I think I definitely really preferred this season over Season 2. Again, I just feel like there was a lot going on this season, and I feel like this season, I don't know what it was, but I just feel like the cast was really utilized a lot better than they have been in previous seasons. Because this is a pretty large cast of characters, but yeah, we're 3 seasons in, and there have been characters in the past 2 seasons that I just didn't really know a lot about, and I just felt like the show didn't focus on them a lot. So I feel like this season finally focused on just certain characters quite a lot more, that I finally started caring for some of them a lot more. But yeah, we'll kind of get to that as I get through all the big characters and plot arcs and whatnot. But I did, seriously, there was so much going on this season. We have a wedding, yay. We have a murder attempt, oh no. We have scandal and backstabbing and women, you know, griping and complaining with one another about their positions and statuses in life, you guys. And yeah, this whole season is building up to the big Newport ball, because every season there's always some big thing that we're building up to, you know, because like last season, for instance, was the whole thing with the Metropolitan Opera House or whatever. The whole season was building up to that. So this season is building up to the big Newport ball, which is originally going to be hosted by Mrs. Astor, but then, you know, Bertha being Bertha, you know, manages to get hold of all that. And as always, the show is just always absolutely stunning and gorgeous. The hair, the clothing is always so outlandish and over the top and just really overly vibrant and colorful, but I love it. Seriously, the hair, the makeup, the clothing on this show, just wonderful. It always looks good on these actors and actresses. So I'm just going to go through my notes here, because I have all of the characters kind of like chunked up into groups. I felt like that was the best way to talk about certain like characters and plot arcs and whatnot. So yeah, the first group of characters that I'm going to be talking about, I gotta start with the Russells, obviously. The Russells, I don't know about everybody else. The Russells are personally my favorite characters. I love each and every one of them. So yeah, starting off with Carrie Coon, who plays Bertha Russell. Yeah, Carrie Coon is just absolutely unstoppable on this show. My God, why hasn't Carrie Coon, has Carrie Coon even been nominated for anything for this show? I mean, seriously, it's atrocious that she hasn't won anything, been nominated for anything, because yeah, this is her show, okay? This is the Carrie Coon show. Yeah, I just love Bertha. Bertha is just the type of character, she is so ruthlessly ambitious, and it's like, I love seeing a female character like that on TV. You know, I love seeing a ruthlessly ambitious woman on TV, and, you know, showcasing the positives and negatives of that. Because sometimes on TV or even in movies, if you have an overly ambitious, ruthless woman, it can sometimes come across as villainous. And I like on this show yeah, Bertha is not a villain, but there are definitely positives and negatives with her characters. I like what a complex character Bertha is, because she is an outspoken woman and she has opinions and she knows how to command a party and to kind of manipulate people, in good ways and bad ways, obviously. But yeah, her ambitions, you always kind of wonder, what is she truly doing all of these things for? Is it for the benefit of her family, or is it really more for her? And this show is always kind of always constantly questioning that. What are her true motives? Is it for her or for the family? And in Bertha's eyes, I do think it's a little of both. It is a little of both, but yeah, kind of at the same time. I do think there is more, that it's just a personal thing for her own personal ambitions, But yeah, she is doing things for her children, but she's never kind of thinking of, her children's happiness at the end of the day. She thinks her idea of happiness is completely different from her children's ideas of happiness. So it's always constantly at odds. But I just love Bertha's character because she has this really wonderful positive traits to her character, but I also like that this show shows her vulnerabilities and weaknesses, and yeah, her overambition being a little too much on occasion, even though it's a great thing too. And I always just love any given scene that Bertha has with, like, Mrs. Astor, for instance. Those scenes are always just perfect and dynamic. Moving on to Morgan Spector, who plays George Russell. Yeah, guys, I love George. He is a very highly ambitious, ruthless man too. And I love that final scene that George and Bertha have together, because he's sitting there talking about, her ambitions have gotten to be too much, and she's like, well, you're ambitious too, and he's like, I am ambitious, but I focus my ambitions more for the family, whereas I feel like you focus more on your own personal gains and how you're going to rank and rise in society, so I really liked the odds that Bertha and George were at this season, and it didn't end at a very good place with them at all this season. Are they going to potentially divorce? Yeah, guys, I don't know. We saw with like Mrs. Fane, for instance, the scandal of her getting divorced, and I don't know if Bertha and George are going to kind of risk that as well, because again, they are both very ruthlessly ambitious, and they both kind of understand their place in society and what a divorce would do to the both of them. So I don't know if we're going. I don't know if we should expect a divorce next season, you guys. I hope not. Please, for the love of God, I do not want Bertha and George to get divorced. I love them together. They are the power duo of this show. And yeah, the big thing that was going on with George this season, a lot of stuff, technical, financial stuff, going on with him trying to get like stuff dealing with railroads and railroad expansion, and something about a mountain, and there's like copper in the mountain, and because there was some financial difficulties going on throughout the season. If they were possibly going to go to the poorhouse, but then they discovered that mountain is full of copper, so it all went right back up for them with their financial gain. So a lot of George's plot has to do with this whole railroad business, which leads to a pretty shocking shooting in like the penultimate episode of the season. We don't get the reveal about who tried to attempt to murder George, but he mentions Mr. Clay, because him and Mr. Clay had that big massive falling out and difference of opinions. So they were mentioning Mr. Clay, but seriously, I have a feeling it's somebody else. You guys, Mr. Clay seems like too much of an obvious choice, that he's the one who tried to attempt to murder George. It's got to be somebody else for the benefit of the plot, to have some nice twists and turns. It's got to be somebody else. Again, it'd be too easy and too simple if it's Mr. Clay. But who else could it be? That's just it. Who else would have some wild and crazy vendetta against George, unless it's some character we've never met? That's a possibility too. Some sort of character we've never met, somebody else from George's past, which would be pretty shocking and surprising. Maybe I would love to see something like that. Again, Mr. Clay is just too much of an easy choice. Speaking of George getting shot, oh Lord, I love that last episode, and yeah, they go grab Mr. Kirkland, and Mr. Kirkland performs a quick operation on George, and then yeah, you have Marion in the meantime just straddling right over top George and putting pressure on his wound and whatnot. I just love that whole sequence at the start of the final episode. Oh Lord, so dramatic. And moving on to, is it Tessa Farmiga? I'm not sure how her first name is pronounced, but yeah, playing Gladys Russell. I loved Gladys's plot this season. In previous seasons, I've always liked Gladys, but I don't think her particular plots have ever, you know, been like the most appealing to me. But yeah, her plot this season, I absolutely loved, and I was just hooked from start to finish with her plot. Because yeah, we bring in Ben Lamb's character, the Duke of Buckingham. The Duke returns, and yeah, he is once again the ruthless ambition of Bertha, and she wants her daughter to marry a duke. She wants her daughter to be in the society pages. She wants her daughter to kind of be out there and be a voice and setting trends and styles, you know. She wants her daughter to be somebody, you know, not caring what Gladys wants. You know, poor Gladys, she has her one guy that she's with for a few episodes, and they're just really sweet and adorable and natural with one another, and that quickly falls apart. And yeah, poor Gladys, just oh God, all of those episodes leading up to the wedding and then the wedding itself, I loved what this show was doing, because it was a constant battle of, okay, is she really going to go through with this marriage? Yet George keeps saying he won't push her to get married. You know, he wants her to be happy. He wants her to still marry within her station. Obviously, he doesn't want her to marry below her station. He still wants her to have a nice, really happy life with what she's grown accustomed to, obviously. But yeah, he's not going to push her to marry a duke of all people, and she has to leave her home, leave her country. But yeah, Gladys, she does take that burden upon herself, like, you know, it's too late to turn back now. I'm going to marry this guy, and end of story. And I love, seriously, Gladys's story, you guys. And then yeah, once she gets to England and she sees the new big estate that she's going to be running, and yeah, she's at odds with the Duke's sister. And I love that whole episode when Bertha comes to visit, and Gladys and Bertha together really kind of push Lady Sarah to the sides to show her who is the actual Duchess of this place now. And yeah, once a lot of kind of some of the uncomfortable elements of their relationship got put out of the way, I really found myself loving the Duke and Gladys together. Because he's not a horrible man. He's not a horrible man at all. He does listen to her. He does value her. Yeah, even on their wedding night, you know, he's really open and honest to her about what to expect, and he just wants to get it over with, you know. Yeah, he's not terrible or horrible at all to her. And yeah, like, I love that in that one episode, and she's coming down to dinner, and she has like those little cute little stars, those little star barrettes in her hair. And yeah, Lady Sarah is over there bitching like, you're not supposed to wear something like that. You're supposed to wear like a tiara because you're a duchess now. And yeah, the Duke is over there like, well, I like her little stars, you know. Yeah, he's always really positive and supportive about certain things that she does, you know. He's not trying to control her. So yeah, once the relationship really got going, I was like, oh, these two are just so cute. I'm glad they got together. We had a lot of drama and angst getting there, but I like them together. Because yeah, I don't think they love each other, you know, but that will come. That will come. And I think at the end of the season, I think they do. They're starting to really warm up to each other. Moving on to Harry Richardson, who plays Larry Russell. Larry is one of those characters, again, this is season 3. The previous 2 seasons, I just feel like they never did anything with Larry. Larry just kind of always lingered in the background. He would come in, say a few words, and that would kind of be about it. They just never really did anything interesting with Larry. And I feel like finally, this season, they did a lot of really great things with Larry, and multiple things. Because I really like that element of like George really kind of going to Larry and giving Larry some bigger responsibilities, you know, especially with the railroad drama, because yeah, Larry is the one who realizes like the stuff about the copper in that mountain or whatever, you know, he reevaluates all of that. So yeah, Larry is given like a bigger responsibility from his own father. I also liked all that stuff going on with him and Jack and the clock invention thing that they were doing. I loved that whole side plot. And then, yeah, I obviously was really loving all the romantic stuff going on between him and Marion, all of the drama. Yeah, guys. But, yeah, Larry definitely had so much to do this season. And I personally appreciate that because I've always really liked Larry's character. But, yeah, they've just never done anything interesting with him. And, yeah, him and Marion, they have this constant kind of back and forth and fallout with one another this season, because yeah, she figures out that he went to like some scandalous nightclub or whatever, but yeah, he didn't do anything at that nightclub. You know, Jack was there obviously because they were there celebrating all their winnings from the clock endeavor. So I hated the miscommunication. I absolutely hated the miscommunication between Marion and Larry this season. I was just so frustrated with Marion, you guys. I was like, girl, why are you being so mean to him? He didn't do nothing wrong. But yeah, hopefully they get back together. Seriously, hopefully Larry and Marion get back together and all goes well. You know, because I think the show definitely intends for the two of them to be endgame at some point. But yeah, we got to get through all the good gossip and scandal to get there, you know. And yeah, going back to Jack really quickly. Played by Ben Ehlers. I loved what they did with Jack this season, because Jack is another character, you know, he's always been part of the downstairs staff, and that's kind of always been his role and function. I really loved what they did with his character this season with the whole clock endeavor, and yeah, it goes beyond well, and he is a wealthy man by the end of the season. You guys, he has his own big house, he has his own team of servants. And he is just such an honest, humble, lovable guy. And he doesn't know what to do with this new position in life. And he even goes back, you know, he goes back to the Van Ryn household and he spends time with, you know, the other servants, because that is his family. You know, that is what he has grown accustomed to. That those people are his family. And yeah, now he lives in this big house and he doesn't have his own personal family, and I think he has this sense of loss and disconnection from what he had. You know, it's like, yeah, I think he's enjoying being a wealthy man now, but with that he has lost other things. And yeah, Bridget, you guys, I've always really loved him and Bridget together, so I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers, maybe the two of them hook up next season and get married as well, and then she can live a nice happy life too, and she doesn't have to be a servant anymore. So enough of the Russells, let's move to the Van Ryn family. Christine Baranski as Agnes. You know, last season Ada's husband died, so we go into this season and Ada's husband left her a lot of money, and plus Oscar lost all of his mother's money. So Ada is all of a sudden the one in charge of this household, and that puts Agnes, you know, at a big disadvantage, because from the beginning of the show, Agnes has always been the one in charge, and her word is law. So she's all of a sudden at the bottom, and her opinion kind of doesn't really matter. Her say doesn't really matter. Ada is the one in charge. Ada is the one who is paying the bills. Ada is the one paying the household staff. And Agnes doesn't like that. You know, she's the older sister. She's always been the one in charge. And it takes a lot for her to finally kind of move on at the very end of the season. Because I love that last episode, and she lets Ada have the head chair at the table, you know, which is definitely a big move. You know, I think that says a lot from Agnes without her really saying much of anything. Just the act of her giving up that chair, you know. So I loved Agnes this season. Just her being in a wildly different circumstance than what she's used to, and it puts her out of sorts, and she really has to cope with that. And then, yeah, Ada, in the meantime, played by Cynthia Nixon. Yeah, Ada spends a lot of this season still mourning the death of her husband. You know, they only got, what, like a couple months together, if even that. And yeah, she is really trying to kind of cope with having all of this money all of a sudden, because she's never had all this. And yeah, she's trying to learn to have authority and you know, put her voice and opinion out there. And so yeah, her confidence really starts building and building over the course of the season. And yeah, another big plot point that was going on with Ada, because she was mourning the death of her husband. Yes, she went to that spiritual medium lady, and that lady, you know, was like claiming that she could speak to the dead. Of course, she was not able to speak to the dead. You know, she was just kind of abusing her power, essentially just to get money. And yeah, Ada ends up feeling like a fool at the end of the day when she realizes that this woman is a fraud, you know, using her grief against her and whatnot. So I liked that whole plot as well. And yeah, I do. I always just love any given scene with Agnes and Ada, because they're bickering, arguing sisters, and they have a difference of opinions a lot of times. But yeah, when they're in low places, you know, they're always there for each other. They're always there for each other to comfort each other when need be. And then yeah, Louisa Jacobson, who plays Marion. Marion honestly didn't really have too terribly much to do this season, bizarrely enough, because yeah, a lot of her plot was wrapped around Larry's character, and yeah, a lot of Marion's big thing this season, you know, because each season she's had some man in her life that has disappointed her, and so she when certain things kind of play out with Larry, and she feels like he's lied to her about certain things when he hasn't, and she feels really betrayed and heartbroken. And yeah, Marion has to learn to realize that not all men are like all the other men that have disappointed her in the past. You know, Larry's not like that, obviously. So yeah, a lot of Marion's plot was wrapped around that, or yeah, a lot of like Peggy's drama, for instance. But I do like Marion as a character. Again, I love that whole sequence when Marion, you know, she's not squeamish, and she just jumps right on top of George and puts pressure on his wound, you know, while Dr. Kirkland is doing his thing, you know. I just love that sequence with Marion, because it just says so much about the type of woman that Marion is, that she's willing to kind of put herself out there in a dangerous situation. She's not squeamish of blood or anything like that. And yeah, when there's a threat and when there's danger, she's willing to put herself out there, you know. So yeah, her just doing that for George, and you know, because her dress was bloody by the end of the night, her hands were covered in blood, you know. It just says so much about Marion, the type of like modern woman she is for that era. Then moving on to Blake Ritson, who plays Oscar. Again, Oscar, very much like Larry's character, Oscar has been a character who has been around for 3 seasons now, but the previous 2 seasons, I feel like they just never really did much of anything with him. So finally, we get a lot of Oscar this season. A lot of stuff just really starts moving his character along, and I just really greatly appreciate that. Yeah, like all of that drama that went down with like Maud Beaton at the end of last season, because she's the one who took all of his money, we get all of that resolved, because he does run into her again. He finally gets to confront her and tell her what she did to him, but she also gets to share her side of the story as well, which I appreciated. So all of that gets resolved, which was great. And Mr. Adams, you guys, no, Mr. Adams, I can't believe the show did this to me, because I wanted Oscar and Mr. Adams to be together, you know, even though they technically can't be together because of the era and their status in life, and the scandal that would cause, you know. I was just so devastated when Mr. Adams got run over by that runaway horse and carriage, or whatever the hell that was. It was just so shocking and insane. I couldn't believe that happened. The episode ended, and I literally was like, and oh my god, seriously, Blake Ritson, what a performance in that next episode. After the accident and death happens, you know, we go into that next episode, and Oscar is grieving, and he's hurt, and you know, he's because of the era, you know, because of his position in society, he has to be a closeted gay man, you know, and he can't tell anybody about that. He can't tell anybody what Mr. Adams, what he meant to him, you know. And so yeah, Oscar just has a breakdown in that episode, and you know, Marion and Ada are there to comfort him. And I'm curious, you guys, how do you all, what are your opinions of Agnes? Do you think Agnes knows her son is gay? has she known that all along, or has she maybe only suspected it, or does she finally learn the truth kind of in that moment when he breaks down in tears and he's talking about how much he misses Mr. Adams? Does it occur to her finally in that moment that he's gay? I'm just really curious, you know, because it's just amusing, because like the downstairs staff, for instance, I think we've always gotten the idea the downstairs staff, they know that he is gay. But yeah, Agnes, I'm just not quite sure how much she kind of suspects, if she's always suspected or if in that moment she suspects, you know, like, does it finally occur to her? I really wish this show would have a really nice moment between Agnes and Oscar where he finally just comes out to her, you know. I'm really waiting for a scene like that, because I'm really curious how it would play out. And yeah, we finally get the reveal, like Marion knows. Marion has known all along. And she admits to him, she goes, you know, I don't understand it, but that doesn't mean that I love you any less for it, you know. So I love that moment with Marion and Oscar. And again, Blake Ritson's performance, especially in that episode when he has his mental breakdown, you guys. What a performance by Blake Ritson. It was so good. And then to conclude Oscar's character, we also bring Mrs. Winterton back into the equation. And Oscar has something up his sleeve there in regards to Mrs. Winterton, it seems, because he definitely suggests the idea of marriage to her at the tail end of the season. So I'm curious where all that's going to go with him and Mrs. Winterton, because they could be a really interesting power couple. And then moving on to the Scotts. I think the Scotts plotline was so well done this season, and I just freaking loved everything going on. So yeah, Peggy, played by Denise Benton. Peggy, I just always love Peggy. Peggy is a hardworking woman of color in this time period where she's always constantly being looked down upon and frowned upon, you know, but she always takes things just in her own stride, and she always voices her opinions, and she never lets anything just put her down, you know. Yeah, I just always love and adore Peggy, and I love the Peggy and Marion relationship, how close their bond is. And yet the big thing with Peggy this season, she gets a new love interest, you guys, Mr. Kirkland. Ooh la la, Mr. Kirkland. I love that man's voice. Did anybody else love Mr. Kirkland's voice? Oh my god, that voice. Mr. Kirkland, he's a doctor, or yeah, doctor. You know, I wrote Mr. Kirkland on here on my notes. It's Dr. Kirkland. You guys, I like how in the last episode, when that other doctor comes to take care of George, and the other doctor's like, who are you? And I like how Dr. Kirkland was like, I am Dr. Kirkland. Like, don't call me Mr. Kirkland. But yeah, Dr. Kirkland, I meant to say earlier. I love that relationship that he has with Peggy. And of course, Peggy's past has to be brought up again. She has to go through that emotional turmoil again. And Dr. Kirkland kind of learns all about that in just the most horrible of ways, because his mother absolutely hates Peggy with a passion. And she sees Peggy as beneath her son. And yeah, playing Dr. Kirkland's mother, we had Felicia Rashad. Yeah, guys, what a great guest appearance. And yeah, oh my god, Felicia Rashad, whenever her and Audra McDonald were together, Audra McDonald, who plays Peggy's mother, oh my god, whenever those two women were on in a scene together, oh my god, just the fireworks. Because they just butted heads, and it was so good. But yeah, Dr. Kirkland's mother, what a piece of work, you guys. Oh my god, I really hated her, because yeah, her son, you know, he just wants to be with Peggy, and yeah, Mrs. Kirkland is just trying to push them away as best she can. And it was just so fascinating with his mother, because, you know, she is a woman of color too. But there was this whole kind of crazy plot going on where she saw herself and her family above Peggy's family, you know, because yeah, like Peggy's father, you know, Peggy's father worked hard for his status in society and for the wealth that he has. And yeah, Mrs. Kirkland kind of frowns upon, like, that he had hard work and that's how he got his money, you know. And yeah, again, there was just some craziness there, like, because Mrs. Kirkland, it's like she was trying to be white, you know. She was trying to act like a white woman, like that would make her better, you know. It's like it's like she was disgusted with herself, you know, and that's why she's so disgusted with Peggy, and it's horrible, you know. And the same thing too, when it's revealed, you know, because we've known this all along, you know, Peggy's father, he was a slave during the Civil War, and yeah, when Mrs. Kirkland finds that out, she's like, ugh, ew, you know, you're a slave, you know. She's so disgusted with that, and it's horrible how she kind of treats. It's horrible how she treats Peggy's father, especially. You know, it's horrible. But and yeah, the thing too, because you know, Dr. Kirkland, you know, both of his parents, his mother and his father, they have lighter skin, you know, and just because Peggy's family has that darker skin, it's like they're kind of racist to their own people, you know, and that was just so wild, you know. And the thing is that happens though, you know, that does happen, and it was definitely a very believable plot arc for this season, how the Kirklands, Mrs. Kirkland, how she treated the Scots and whatnot. It was really despicable. It did not make me like her whatsoever. I really hated her. And yeah, I like how Mr. Kirkland, he finally told his wife, he was like, woman, shut up. And he had that confrontation with his son, like, hey, your mother's trying to control you, but hey, if you love Miss Scott, you want to marry her, you should. Don't let your mother tell you what to do, you know. So I really like that Mr. Kirkland was on his son's side, you know. He had absolutely no problem with Peggy, you know. So we finally do get a marriage proposal between Dr. Kirkland and Peggy at the end of the season, you guys. Yes, hallelujah. Hopefully we'll get another wedding next season, because Marion and Larry are probably not getting married anytime soon, so hopefully we'll have another wedding next season. Please. If something happens to Dr. Kirkland, if he happens to get run over by a runaway carriage too, I'm going to cry bullshit on this show. I can't stand another man to die on this show. And then just to conclude really quickly, we have like Mrs. Astor and Charlotte, her daughter, all of that good drama going on. Because, you know, Mrs. Astor is the one in charge of all of these rich people. She's the one everyone flocks to and goes to. And yeah, we have all that really good drama that goes down with Mr. McAllister and his book. That was so good. Yeah, Mrs. Astor really having to make a decision at the very end of the episode. Does she choose society or does she choose her daughter? Because yeah, her daughter has that whole scandalous thing that she had an affair with some other guy and she's already married, you know. So there was all that. Yeah, plus, yeah, I mentioned like Mrs. Fane earlier, Mrs. Fane going through a divorce. And yeah, that's the whole big thing at the Newport Ball at the very end, is kind of tying in a lot of these random loose threads. Yeah, because we're tying in like the scandal of Mrs. Fane's divorce, the scandal of Carolyn Astor's affair with another man, you know. Yeah, even inviting Mrs. Winterton to the ball, who has her own scandal, you know. I like that the Newport Ball kind of just brought all these sides together and, you know, kind of bringing in the new and the modern, that, like Bertha realizes we have to grow with the times and we can't remain stagnant and just push people away, you know. So I really liked kind of what the Newport Ball did, and again, bringing all these kind of loose threads randomly together throughout the season. And boy oh boy, this video is running past 30 minutes right now, you guys. Let's wrap this up. I could talk forever about this season, you guys. It was so good because I feel like there is so much I have left out and quite a number of characters I've not even talked about. But yeah, in the comments below, have you guys seen season 3 of The Gilded Age? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Just let me know your thoughts down below. And yeah, predictions for season 4. Who's going to live? Who's going to die? Who's going to get murdered? It should be good next season. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.